What's up, everybody? It's your boy Tony from Black Thought. It's been a minute since my last video, but I'm glad to be back at it again. This video is titled The 5 Worst Karens in US History. So let's get into it. So we're gonna start this list with Sarah Page. Now I know all of y'all have heard about the Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street massacre, but did you know that Sarah Page is actually the person who kicked it off? She was a 17-year-old girl who was in an elevator, and what was reported was that a black man named Dick Rowland attacked her in an elevator, assaulted her in an elevator in broad daylight. What actually happened was that Dick Rowland was entering the elevator to go to the segregated bathrooms on a higher floor of the building that they were in. And on his way into the elevator, he tripped by accident and touched her arm. She screamed, police came, he bolted, he was gone. And then, the rest is history. Come to find out, none of that actually happened. Sarah kind of recanted, and then, I don't know, that's pretty much it. Sarah recanted later on, but by that time, the rumor had already spread and the flames had already begun. So yeah, Sarah Page, #1 spot to you. Next up is Fanny Taylor. This comes down to my home state of Florida. So Fanny Taylor is actually a woman who was having an affair on her husband, and the person she was having an affair with beat her. He began to beat her. So she had bruises and was pretty beat up. Anyways, when she went home that night to her husband, instead of telling her husband, she's been sleeping out and she was getting beat on by a white man, she decided to blame a black man. And because she blamed a black man, the town of Rosewood was razed to the ground. I mean, nothing but a sign left noting that that town was there. Over 300 black people killed, and the state of Florida tried to cover it up for a good time, but they couldn't do so. But it is so. Fanny Taylor, you got the second spot on the list of worst Karens. I'm sorry, you could have just came up to it, own up to your own bullcrap, but whatever. This next person we can honestly put in first and or second place. Really, all three of them. These top 3 people are absolutely deplorable human beings. But next up is the living legend herself, Carolyn Bryant. If you don't recognize her name, you should, because that is the woman who lied on Emmett Till's name, which resulted in his untimely demise and horrible beating and disfiguration. She said that Emmett Till was hitting on her, and I think y'all know the history. I don't really have to explain that much about it. But yeah, Carolyn Bryant, you're #3. Next up is Victoria Price and Ruby Bates. Now, I'm sure you've heard of the Central Park 5, but have you heard of the Scottsboro Boys? Pretty much the exact same story in terms of they claimed that those boys raped them and it was all fake and they lied and blah, blah, blah. You know how the tale goes. But I'll give you a little more backstory on it. You see, Victoria Price and Ruby Bates were on a train with, and they were on the same train. There were 9 on the same train. There were 9 black boys, and there were also some white boys. However, the white teenage boys wanted to kick the black teenage boys off the train, but the white teenage boys didn't have enough strength to do so. So the black teenage boys ended up kicking the white teenage boys off of the train instead. And then when police came, the 2 girls that were still on the train claimed that the 9 boys had raped them. Again, all a lie, never actually happened. Each of the 9 boys actually also went on to have very weird and spiraling lives after it. Which, I mean, granted, it's because of what happened to them during this case, but it's a weird instance that literally all of those 9 boys, even after being released the first time, had weird things going on and weird ways to die the rest of their lives. A lot of them were also actually recharged and taken up during a retrial, so and convicted. So American justice system for you. This 5th person, I'm putting them on the list not because of their cries for help working, because they didn't work. More so because of how ludicrous the story actually is. So her name is Eleanor Stroobing, one of the two. And what she did was she was a 31-year-old rich lady who had a chauffeur, black guy chauffeur. She accused her chauffeur of raping her 4 times and then throwing her into a river. Now, the story is just really weird to me. Like, I don't know. I just think that's such an elaborate and weird story to make up. But because it came from a rich white lady, it became a real thing. And luckily this was in Chicago, because if this was in the South, they wouldn't have got a real trial. But this was in Chicago, so the trial happened in the North. That being said, during the trial, Thurgood Marshall became the defendant's lawyer. Thurgood Marshall's the GOAT. Let me just say that first and foremost. And he got the case thrown out. And our defendant got acquitted. But even still, Eleanor, that's a weird story to come out with. Raped you 4 times and then threw you into a river? I don't know. That's just weird. Anyways, that's my video, guys. Hope you enjoyed 5 of the worst Karens in history. Maybe if we get a good response, maybe there'll be a part 2. We'll see. But anyways, till next time, y'all. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all of that jazz.